On Thursday, June 27th, 2024, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump will be debating each other here in Atlanta at the CNN studios. And we're following these developments here on Political Update. I'm Tim Darnell, and we're joined by our favorite person to talk politics with, Dr. Ben Taylor, political science professor at Kennesaw State University. Dr. Taylor, this is historic in numerous ways. It's one of the earliest televised presidential debates in broadcast history. It's the first time that two repeat candidates have, for the same office for president, have ever debated each other in a broadcast TV environment. First of all, what does Donald Trump have to do? What should his main goals should they be in this debate?
Well, I think what the Trump campaign wants to do generally, and obviously former President Trump as the candidate in this case, they want to try to shine a spotlight on what they say is an enfeebled and weak president who can't handle the job, right? Whether it's his age or other capacities or incapacities, as they would term them. They want to show on the bright lights of primetime television that President Biden is not up for the job and that Donald Trump is up for the job and has the stamina, if you will, to make it go for the next 4 years. And they want to try to remind people about the Trump administration from 2017 to about January the 15th of 2020, because everything after that was not so great for the Trump administration. But before then, by all independent metrics, you might have suggested that candidate Trump in 2020 had a really good chance of being reelected. Alas, that didn't happen, history being what it is. But the Trump campaign is going to try to do that. That's their objective as an organization. And the question is, can former President Trump, as the person who is charged with doing this, can he do that? Is he capable of staying on message? Is he capable of driving home a message at all that's sort of tailored in this way? That is an open empirical question.
Conversely, if the Trump's campaign's goal is to show an apparent infirmity as far as President Biden goes, is it safe to assume the Biden campaign or re-election campaign, their goal should be to show that this president is still active and vigorous and vibrant and able to complete another 4 years in office?
Absolutely. So the Biden campaign's entire objective is to demonstrate, well, they want to do a couple of things. They want to show, as you suggested, that President Biden is vigorous and able and sharp and ready to go and, engaged in policy details. And they want to demonstrate sort of a side-by-side image of a candidate in Donald Trump who is sort of off the handle in a sense, right, and sort of just lashing out in ways. And so they're going to try to get rises out of him, no doubt. But they want to, show the contrast to that, President Biden being someone who is sharp on detail, who is sort of conversant in policy detail and things of that nature. That'll be a sharp contrast. The other thing they want to do is remind people of the Trump administration, the sort of day-to-day I guess the only way to say it is carnival circus atmosphere of the Trump administration, which if you are a Trump, advocate or you like President Trump, perhaps that's something that you thought was a feature, not a bug. On the other hand, the Biden administration, the Biden campaign particularly, and are making the bet that moderate independent voters do not want to go back to those days, and they want to, demonstrate again in a side-by-side image. President Biden is the person you want to go for stability, the person you want to go for sharp policy analysis. Donald Trump is not going to give you those things. Here they are. Here are your choices. This is not an abstract choice. It's a discrete choice. These are the two candidates. Given these two realities, the Biden administration or Biden campaign wants to use this event as a way to sort of draw that contrast out.
The debate is June 27th, the earliest televised presidential debate, to my knowledge, in American broadcast history. The first time that two repeat candidates have debated each other for the presidency of the United States. Obviously, the last time we had the same candidates 4 years or two election cycles in a row, 1956, Dwight D. Eisenhower and Adlai Stevenson were again seeking the presidency. Eisenhower obviously was the incumbent. The debate being held in Atlanta at CNN studios. We're all aware that CNN has downsized its Atlanta operations, studio, and otherwise. Were you surprised that CNN got the bid for this debate?
Well, honestly, yes, and that it would be held in Atlanta is very interesting. But I think that that speaks to both the Trump and Biden campaigns' acknowledgement that Georgia is an important state, and that they both want to be here to sort of highlight their utility to the voters of Georgia, but also that they'll be able to use this moment to sort of shine a light on their campaign's perspectives and their campaign agendas, but then they'll be able to go out and hit the campaign trail pretty quickly thereafter.
In terms of CNN, CNN was a frequent target of then President Trump's repeated jabs at the network. Were you surprised that he agreed to a CNN debate?
Well, I will say yes and no. No, because the Trump campaign does not want to be seen as being shy or otherwise sort of not wanting to engage with the Biden campaign. That would be a bad look. But yes, in some sense, because I thought that, like, as President Trump had eschewed any debates in the Republican primary process, I thought that he might do the same thing in the general election campaign. Because again, what's so unique about this, as you've highlighted a couple of times now, is that we have effectively two incumbent presidents running against each other, which is why the polls are so incredibly stable. And whatever movement we see from now until November is going to be extremely small and subtle, most likely. It's just exceedingly unlikely we're going to get some sort of like 55-45 landslide, and that would be a landslide in this context. So we're looking at a very, very narrow race from now for the duration. But the Trump campaign does not want to be seen as worried or otherwise running away from the Biden campaign, and the Biden campaign wants to be looking active and wants to be on the front foot, which is why they are the ones who proposed this idea in the first place. And so it all sort of, everybody has something to gain, but everybody has something to lose. And so it's really fascinating to see this play out, particularly as it's outside the confines of the traditional presidential campaign, the Commission on Presidential Debates, I should say. They're out of the loop here. So.
And that was leading to my next question. Will we ever see the return of a debate sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates?
I don't know. Maybe. But, this is sort of like campaign finance, right? So between 1976 and 2008, everybody used public financing for presidential campaigns. But when Barack Obama opted out and outraised John McCain 10-1, people said, why would we ever do this again? And so now there is effectively no public financing of presidential campaigns. The same thing may be true here. The debates themselves, are a relatively modern phenomenon. You didn't have this 100 years ago. The candidates didn't debate each other. It would have been difficult because you just didn't have mass media in the way we do today. But the more important point, though, is that the cat's out of the bag in a sense, and it would be difficult to imagine, particularly if the Biden and Trump campaigns, who I don't think there's any love lost between those two organizations, if they can coordinate this, if this goes off pretty well, and people watch, and news organizations are able to sort of get the information they need to give to the public, and the campaigns feel like their interests are served as well, and the public responds to this in a sense favorably, right? Watching it, engaging with it, then it would be difficult to imagine another presidential debate commission debate again. So.
Well, we will be covering the June 27th, 2024 presidential debate here on Atlanta News First. We'll be running a live blog and also covering all of your social media and otherwise reactions on Thursday, June 27th, as President Joe Biden, former President Donald Trump debate each other here in Atlanta on CNN on Thursday, June 27th. Thanks to Dr. Ben Taylor, Professor of Political Science at Kennesaw State University, for joining us on this edition of Political Update. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening.